friends. If this is your first time here, then welcome. This spread for this particular reading has been developed over years to really find a combination that really works. And also, just to let you know, this is not that your ex is coming back and just like I'm throwing this on you. No, this is for the people who actually are still having a connection, or maybe they're anticipating kind of like that something still is ongoing. They still want something to happen with their ex, such as like maybe hoping for a reunion. If you're not wanting your ex, then please, this is not a reading for you. Check my monthlies instead. So in a moment, I'm going to explain the cards, but at the same time, I'm going to provide a timestamp for those people who already know it. If you're the first time here, please go to the explanation. But before I start this, yay, there's like something that you waited for entire year, my 2019 annual Taroscopes. It's time to pre-order. So you can go www.catchtarot.ca/annual, and that's going to get you to the form. The moment when I make the first one, this price of $19.99 for individual sign or $39.99 for all signs is going to move to $29.99 for one and $59.99 for all. So this is like your opportunity to really grab a good deal. If you remember the last year, then they were like about hour and a half to 2 hours long. It was covering all kind of like segments and career and love and family and so on and so forth. In the description of this video, you are going to be able to see the 2018. So just like scroll down below and check it. Okay, so the next is to kind of like jump into this explanation, and for my regulars, here is a timestamp, and just jump right straight to the reading. Okay guys, as you're going to see, I don't know if you can see the difference in colors. Look at how old is this deck, about 25 years old. And the same cards exist in this deck as well. So I am choosing these 7 cards because they're going to be able to give me that combination, that magic key, and the answer that you really want. So let's start. Like, first card that I have taken over here is the Magician. And the Magician is really going to tell me about what is going on for your relationship. If this is really a go, if your relationship can actually fly. It's also going to tell me if your relationship was ever a starter. So both positive and negative is going to give us some answers. The next one is going to be the Temperance reversed. And usually the Temperance upright talks about stars are aligning and everything is like kind of like working together. When it is reversed, it tells me what is really not gluing and what kind of like things you still really need to pay attention and even work on in a relationship. So it's kind of like a really important combination of the two. Then we are going to have the Queen of Wands and also Knight of Wands. With these two cards, they are going to be significators for you and your mate, right? So they are interchangeable. You have to kind of like decide which one are you, and you're going to know it as when I start reading which one applies. This is the energy in between the two of you, and it's going to tell me if there is any communication and what's going on. Is there any manipulation? Is there any approach? And so on and so forth. Kind of like really important as well. Then we have Karma card. Many people disregard, karma, who cares? Well, let me ask you this. If you're now looking back in the past and you think about your relationships, isn't this like, a point that you think, I should have skipped this one? You see, this is really what is telling you about it. Maybe you really go, I want it. But karma is telling you, maybe, sweetie, you shouldn't be going in that direction. So that category is very important, because if you're not in sync with karma, everything will be breaking and things will not be coming your way, right? And then lastly, we have Four of Wands, and Four of Wands is kind of like going to tell me where is like this whole relationship going on and what can you do. So let's start with the reading itself. Hello Libra, and welcome welcome to your October, November. Is your ex coming back spread? Just guys, you know, this general disclaimer, if the message is not flying straight to you, do not despair. Maybe somebody else really needed to hear it. And we are kind people on Cat Tarot, right? Also, you can pick up a whole bunch of puzzles and pieces if you kind of like also check your ascendant. Down in the description, there is a link where you can get your natal chart, and it's going to tell you which one is your ascendant. Also, check your moon sign. And if you're really stubborn, you want to get more details, then check your Venus. And if you're cross-watching for a partner, check their Mars sign. So let's start, Libra. Let's see what's going on. And by the way, nothing really beats private reading, because that really goes right to the core of the issue just for you. This is on a special for 50 bucks, and you can reach and get a tarot, get your tarot reading via cattarot.ca. Okay, so let's start. The Three of Pentacles. It's really talking about a spirit of cooperation. It is really talking about building, and it's kind of like the situation. This is a really kind of like high card, if you wish. Usually the higher the number, the more kind of like lessons you have built in it. This is one of kind of like only 2 or 3 exceptions, and this is really talking about somebody being on a higher spot while others are actually sort of like praising you. It really talks in terms of relationship about kind of like getting your acts together. It can actually have other meanings, and we will see when we see more cards. And this is the card that jumped out as I was shuffling. It's my dreaded card. It is about betrayal. It's about somebody grabbing wherever they can grab. Usually that tells me that it was one partner that took relationship seriously, and it was obviously trusting. Another one is simply just, you know, taking whatever they can take. So it also talks to me about partners who kind of like fantasize with you about the future and about the relationship you will have, and then the first possible you know, exit, they're there, or they're trying to find kind of like how to take advantage of you financially, emotionally, you know, like that whole history. You have 3 dates, and then like, I mean, they wine you and dine you, and then they vanish, right? That's kind of a thing. So something kind of like got triggered in this situation. So let me see these following 3 cards over here, and it is really interesting. Here we have Ace of Swords reversed. There were some kind of lies, clearly lies, and maybe it's even talking about this, because it's telling me there is like this immense lack of trust. And now in retrospect, this actually can mean that it has been a third person involved, and that you maybe have asked about him or her, and the answer was like, no, you're crazy. You know, the gaslighting, where even like something that you have observed or seen or heard is being interpreted as, you know, you don't know what the heck you're doing. Now the Tower is really telling me that it has been something that could have been shocking. So maybe that information just like came as like very unpleasant surprise to you. And you know, this is clearly that kind of like being on the point, like air sign. And I have a Libra ascendant, and my sun is Aquarius, my Venus is Aquarius, so I have lots of air in me. And you know how we are as air, we actually sometimes trust too much. We are not suspicious, let's say like earth sign, but oh boy, you can take advantage of us only once. And if you do, we will be suspicious forever. And you should consider yourself lucky that you're even hanging around us. So you guys also can have like this huge intensity when you kind of like are woken up, because you're nice, you want this balance, you want this harmony. And if other people do bad things like this, you're not going to take this like a really kindly. It is like telling me that it was something that happened that was like so strong in between that actually can talk about breakup. You see, when the Tower shows up, it always tells me that something that should have been resolved, something that was not really set on proper grounds. And that would happen if one person is saying to you, is that person, your partner, is saying, yes, we are going all the way, I can see myself with you, talk about children, and so on and so forth. But, you know, having somebody on the side, or, you know, not calling when they said they would call, kind of like showing things that you're kind of like really wondering if this person is really good investment, and yet you have this kind of like emotional connection to them. So kind of like everything came to a halt because of it. Karma is saying there is a huge lesson in emotions. Queen of Cups is like that, kind of like generosity personified, right? With kind of like Queen of Cups, it represents the woman also who is kind of like mystical, or a man, because this is a general reading, kind of like mystical, empathic, sensual, loving, and also emotional. That kind of like is somebody who is a really loyal mother and loyal kind of like partner, wife, and also best friend. Somebody who loves animals, who loves nature, right? And her children and partner, everybody kind of has kind of like equal space over here, right? So the message of this card when it comes in this kind of category is reflection. Kind of like it is talking about your emotions. Look at her. She has this like enormously huge cup over here, much bigger than all the other cups in the deck. But because she has so much, she is like being very careful with whom she kind of like gives this to. So this is really talking about kind of like being loving and being gentle, and no matter what happened, if you lose that, you're losing kind of like a big chunk of yourself. So where was this going? I mean, it looks like, yeah, that maybe either the promises have been made of kind of like a big kind. And this could be also a family unit. Now when I see this, maybe something happened that was rocking a family unit. Also, it could be that somebody's children were disagreeable and things were problematic because of this. It's kind of like you really believe that somebody is watching your back, but it has been that kind of like huge mistrust that has kind of like happened prior to it that is really, really difficult to overcome. So almost like scrap everything and let's build it together. King of Wands here is promising, guys. It could mean that one party here is going to balance emotionally, another part is going to, wow, I like you now. You know, we kind of like each other when we start dating, and then we get to know more about each other. This is kind of like make it or break it situation. And make it usually happens when you see all their kind of like words and you still go, okay, sure, it's fine, you know, we can work with this, right? But break it is like when somebody is dishonest, right? We all have different kind of like deal breakers for sure. So here it's telling me that there is like a need to kind of like restart, refresh. And for one person, it needs to be done, kind of like pull back yourself to that emotional center, because something that was not going on, you kind of like separated from each other. So now kind of like, and I guess that's why this is talking about the teamwork, it needs to be glued together. And it's kind of like more than just sending a text or giving a call. It kind of like it, some fundamental changes have to be there, and I really think they relate to transparency and honesty. So let's see where we are going. And this is also a good card, Ace of Pentacles. Interestingly enough, in this category, it's kind of like slowing you down. Libra, take it kind of like a slow, do not rush it. And looks like that somebody here is kind of like, look at here, 9 of Wands. He is a seasoned, wounded warrior. He's saying, I've been through battles. I've been scratched. I've been injured. I'm all scruffed. But, you know, I'm still standing. So that still standing is not here. That still standing is like something that is kind of like affected. You're kind of like wondering, it's kind of like I see that split. Do you want it or do you not want it? You do want it emotionally. You crave it emotionally. You kind of like almost like go back to that little child, kind of like hope that everything is possible, but then reality knocks and you go, I don't know if you can really go this next stage, or I don't know if he wants, I don't know if she wants, kind of a thing. See, it's kind of like weird because there is like 1, there is a 9, so everything in one kind of like thing, where I think suggestion is to kind of like go more methodical in this. It's kind of like ultimately a job to kind of like, if you're a guy, more or less the job is going to be that you need to pay attention to rebuilding yourself, to kind of like even refine your dating and seduction techniques, I would say. And I would advise you that these seduction techniques are not so much whining and dining. That would be the Pentacle way. King of Wands way is, let's play kind of like mini golf, right? Something that include action, like whatever you think it's fun, you know, like I mean, bachelor and bachelorette style dates where you kind of like do stuff. Like I mean, that's kind of like something that women are not used to. And if you're female, you kind of like really need to have that emotion really strong in a sense that even if somebody hurts you, you're still standing strong and you understand, well, I have tried, right? So let me see the next 3 things. And I can see here, look, we have the Temperance upright over here. And I think you guys are starting to understand completely this bigger picture. You know, like when you're involved, when you're in the middle of the battle, it's kind of like really hard to see everything that is coming. And now you're kind of like going back into this balance, because look at this, you have the Emperor, you have the Temperance. You're getting back that fire, you're getting back, you know, I kind of like respect myself. This is that inner maturity, right? Like I mean, it is literally, do you trust yourself more, and do you bet on you, or do you bet on somebody else? Now Temperance is now upright, so it's saying that something maybe is aligning, and I think that's lining up. The stars are kind of like getting there, because you are kind of like getting okay, but they are like still avoiding responsibility. They still kind of like have this runaway attitude over here, and very immature, if you kind of like want to say. Even if they are forgiven, they would not understand how big of you that was. And unless there is like this balance, and balance is one party is wrong, the other party has to kind of like put it in balance. And I shouldn't be preaching like, you know, to the converted, like you guys know about balance. Your basically sign is balance, and that's going to really rub you the wrong way. So in karma we have like the 7 of wands. So this is the actually the third 7, because the Tower 16, 1 and 6 is 7. So clearly this is a spiritual path you're on, and it's kind of like talking about not to be defensive. You see, when you're defensive, you're still kind of guarding your position, you're still kind of like trying to debate. When you know who you are, you know, like sometimes when people go blah 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 blah, and another person says nothing, the other person is really comfortable in their own opinions. They don't need to say anything, right? And they're going to get, even if you don't kind of like respond back. So this is really talking about maybe this person is defensive, but maybe they're also kind of like just really protective. Maybe they're really pushing you away, but there is like also somebody who is like kind of like really getting it. And then we have 8 of Pentacles here as the next step, and that's, again, as I was saying here, it's kind of like on the edges we have Pentacles. It is suggesting that if anything is to happen here, it has to be kind of like built on really strong foundations. See, these 2 cards are basically twin sisters, and kind of like fraternal twins, if you wish. They don't look the same, but sort of like they originated from the same source. This is saying, well, you know, now we need to pay attention to the details of some kind of like big concept that kind of like really needs that teamwork. And ultimately, let's see what basically where you're heading, somewhere there, like I'm in mid-November, what's going to happen. Now it's kind of like really interesting. And look at this, you have the Ace of Pentacles, you have 10 of Pentacles. It looks like you're dealing with somebody who is all or nothing. Wow, 10 and 10 and 1 and the world and 1 here and the 1 here. So something is shifting. You're shifting in a new direction, but it's a sort of like a little bittersweet, I have to tell you. This, as I said, this could be for some of you a family unit, and this person that you had issues with is now waking up. Oh, family, oh my gosh, like, I mean, yeah, I have to take care of that, it's important. Or maybe somebody spoke to them, somebody, even maybe a child spoke to them and said, well, Dad, Mom, what's up, you know, I miss you. And it's kind of like clicking. That kind of like looks like coming back, but not overly enthusiastically, right? Almost like a punishment. And this is also what is reflecting here to you. It keeps saying that along the path. Do not just patch it up just because somebody showed up. You have some issues to resolve. Yes, there is absolutely here possibility of kind of like reunion and a new beginning, but this is you guys. And why are you here coming reverse? Why do you think that is? Well, Queen of Swords, and see how she's nice? Come, come, kitty, 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 right? So she is somebody who's been through a lot, and she is going to cut anybody off in a split second if that person is again jeopardizing something. And I really think this could be you guys, that you're like very nervous about everything that is going on. Look at these 2 cards, karma cards, right? I have like 3 karma cards right now over here. So both of them are reversed, and it's meaning that there's like still something brewing. So I guess it goes back to what I told you. Like, I mean, you need to be secure. You need to also, besides that, really find justification of letting this person in your life, not just because it's for the kids' sake, not just because, well, they are part of a family. You know, especially if you have children, you also have to show sort of like example and lead by example. And they're not going to be happy if they allow somebody who's wishy-washy or not faithful or not not transparent back in your life. The Hangman, when it reverses, it says somebody is playing a victim, and it can as well be you. That this is kind of like, oh, you did that to me, and then they buy you a present, and off you go. Kind of like, don't do that, because this is giving you ability to fully resolve this. You don't have to worry. You don't have to play this poker, sweaty palms and shaky palms that everybody sees that you have nothing. You have something. You have you have this like newfound core of excuse me, of emotions. And it's interesting when my throat tickles, and that usually speaks for it. It is weird that my throat chakra, I had to cough it out, right? Really stopped it. This is clearly sending a message to me. This is like when my spirit guides are knocking on my head or on my throat in this case and saying, Kat, you have to tell them. They have to communicate what they have to communicate. They have to address all these lies. They have to address all these betrayals. Only that is going to kind of like make them really, really solid. So that's the thing. And by the way, your partner is not shy from speaking their mind and being abrupt in spite of everything that has happened. So, but if they do that, karma is actually going to punish them for it. So this is kind of interesting. So there goes your balance. So both of you have ability to turn karma around. Both of you have it upside down. So just do it the right way. So my dear Libra, I mean, please set your private date with me and book your Is Your Ex Coming Back reading. It's only $50. It's really, really cool. I mean, even if you're not coming back, it kind of like gives you a bigger perspective and closure. And if you're devastated and you think that ex might not come back, and then you see, well, if you do this and that, he or she might, it's kind of like really good to see. And lastly, every Saturday, 11 o'clock a.m., I have live, and if you're a subscriber, you see this little button, you just have to push it here and press the bell. It's going to tell you about the live coming on, and each live I give one 15-minute reading. So that is your chance to get a taste. It's a very simple question, but nonetheless, you know, it can be your entry into the world of tarot. So my dear Libra, until the next week when we have monthlies, enjoy it. And all the best and happy belated birthdays to all of you who celebrated.